Hi, today we're just looking at balancing equations, something that people get a little bit stuck on sometimes. Also, in some people's minds it just works, and others find it a little bit more difficult and they need to think about it a bit more, which is absolutely fine. We'll go through why you need to balance equations later on, more towards the end of year 10 is specifically why you need to, but in short, you need to balance them to work out, when you start working out how much of magnesium you might need to make magnesium oxide, you need it balanced. You can't just say there's one there and there's three over here, for example. Has to balance. So the first thing people always do is say, right, there's an O2 there, so there's Mg and then there's O2, why don't I just put a 2 here? You can't do that, and you might remember me saying that I've said don't add small numbers. Like, if you ever think of doing that, just don't, because the answer won't be right. As soon as you add a little number, you're not going to get it right, so it's pointless doing that. So don't add small numbers. The reason you can't do that is because H2O, so 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen, is water. If you just added another 2, it'd be hydrogen peroxide, which is bleach. So you can't just add elements randomly because it comes a different compound. So if I were to add a 2 there, that would never be right. So the way you balance is you add large numbers that just times this whole thing by 2. So usually I work it out like this. So write out how many I've got. So I've got 1 magnesium, 2 oxygens, 1 magnesium here, and 1 oxygen. So what do I need to do? Because you're working it out on the left hand side, the reactants needs to be equal to the products. So the right hand side, nearly just wrote P there. So LR. So when you get the worksheet, that's what that's talking about when it says left hand side, how many have you got? Right hand side. So left hand side you've got 2 oxygens, right hand side you've got 1. So you can't add the little 2, you need to add a big 2. That's all you can do when you balance equations. Therefore it times the whole thing by 2. So you've got 2 magnesium and 2 oxygen. Okay, so left hand side of the arrow. Left hand side of the arrow there are 2 oxygens. Right hand side there are 2 oxygens. Left hand side there's 1 magnesium. Right hand side there's 2 magnesium, because we timed this whole thing by 2. So it times the magnesiums by 2. So I need to add a big 2 here. Now that, hopefully you can see, is balanced, right? There's 2 magnesiums, 2 magnesiums. On the left-hand side, there's 2 oxygens. Right-hand side, there's 2 oxygens. Right. So the step-by-step process of that is, as I said, never add small numbers. 1, work out which elements are on each side. So I did that start if I wrote out how many I've got of each in a different colour pen. And you can also do it where you just do it, how many have I got on the left, how many have I got on the right. See which numbers fit, which will apply more in a minute. Obviously, it was the only obvious thing to do. If I've got 2 oxygens here and I've got 1 here, you're going to times it by 2, but it gets a little bit more complicated in a minute. And then just count them again. So when you've times that by 2, right, now I've got times 1 by 2, so it's 1, 2. How many have I got here? 1, 2, right, done. How many have I got here? 1, 2, another over here on the left-hand side, 1, 2. So always make sure you count it again to make sure you've got it right. Right, if you look at these examples, I'll go through these with you. You can have a go at them now if you want to pause it. But if you don't want to, I'm just going to go through them as examples. You might want to watch one and then do some others, but as I said, it's a really important skill to be able to do. If you've got hydrogen, another thing people ask is, why is that O2? Why can't it just be Mg plus O plus 2 MgO? You go on to that later, but it's what we call oxygen is a diatomic molecule, so it bonds to itself to become more energetically favourable, but you don't need to know what all that means. All you need to know is that it can't just be O, it would always go around as O2. Same with chlorine, same with hydrogen. So you'll be given these and they'd say, they'd give you this equation and then say, right, balance this equation basically. Hydrogen, so you've got 2 of them. 2 chlorine, 1 hydrogen, 1 chlorine. So to start with hydrogen, you need 2. So you times the whole thing by 2. I can't add a little 2. And then that times this by 2, and luckily that just works because I've got 2 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen, 2 chlorine, 2 chlorine. Okay, that's the first one. Next one, Cl, Cl, and then you've got 1 aluminium. Notice the different colour. I'm doing a different thing with that. I'm not saying there's 3 or even 4. I'm saying the different colour is helping me see how many there are. So Al. Now I'll do the Cls over here. You'll realise why in a minute. So 3Cl. Right. This is where it gets not as simple as just writing 1, 2. And then it's all balanced. So you've got 2 chlorines here and you've got 3 chlorines here. So the first thing you need to do is pick the lowest number that they're going to both get to. So what's the first number they both get to if you times them by something? So let's say I times this one by 2. That'd give me 4, but that doesn't help over here because I can't get 3 to 4 by timesing. So usually when you see a 2 and a 3, so it's 2 on this side and 3 on this side, you would times this one by 2. So you get 6 chlorines. So then that gives us 2 aluminium. Now let's stick with the chlorine. So I've times that, so I've got 6 because it's the lowest number these can both get to, the lowest multiple. So now I've also got 6 chlorines over here. Okay, so I times 2 by 3 because I had 3 originally. Times by 2, got another 3. And then I times the 2 chlorines I had here by 3, so 1, 2, 3. Now I've got 2 aluminium on this side, so I need to times that by 2, which is Al. So that is probably the most complicated one you'll get. This one's a little bit different. You've got Na plus OO, 2 NAs, and then you've got 1 oxygen. So the way of doing this one is obviously you need 2 oxygen. The only thing you do is times this by 2, so that's 4. Because you're timesing what you already have by 2. That's now 2 of them. So you've got 2 on the right hand side, 2 on the left hand side. Now you've got 4 sodium on this side, so 4 on that side. Okay, I get that's not as simple as it can look when someone just goes through an example like that. It is quite difficult, so if you get stuck, do email, but watch this video. If you want a different video, I can give you that link as well, but just have a go at it. You're looking at left hand side first, how many have you got, then sort out the right hand side. Do not put little numbers in. Okay, thank you very much, have a good day.